First of all, today on Legend in the Game, on Media City Radio, we're joined by a powerhouse of purpose, Yvonne Harvey Williams, better known as Yvonne Inspires. From the city of Paterson to stages across the country, Yvonne has built a legacy of transformation through truth, transparency, and tireless dedication to the youth. As a motivational speaker, mentor, and advocate, she made it her life's mission to uplift young people and help them see beyond their circumstances. In this episode, Yvonne opens up about her personal journey, the power of using her voice for change, and the legacy she's building one speech, one story, one student at a time. If you ever doubted the impact one person could have, I personally witnessed her on multiple occasions. She's the real deal and the truth, and you will definitely leave inspired today. Please welcome Yvonne Harvey to the show.
Hey!
Well, first of all, I appreciate you coming today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you for trusting me with your platform, an amazing one at that.
Thank you, thank you. Of course, it's great to see both of you guys. I know you guys are always as a duo.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
I love it. I love the shirt. I definitely need that in the entourage.
The nuance.
Yes, definitely. That got to be in the closet.
We got you.
My son saw it. He was like, wait, what? I was like, keep reading, keep reading.
I know you love it.
I love it.
So first, can you share a little bit about your personal journey, where you're from, and what does the city of Paterson mean to you? Also, what inspired you to become a motivational speaker?
That's a loaded question. I'm going to do my best now. You know, I'm a motivational speaker, so I'm going to do my best with it. I'm from Paterson, New Jersey, born and raised. I've pretty much lived all over Paterson, but I was for the most part born and raised in the Fourth Ward of Paterson. I started speaking, I'm not even going to say on accident. It was like I wanted to come back to my community and help, because at the time I was working in corporate, and for whatever reason, I couldn't hire people from my city, maybe because of, wearing the wrong clothes for the interview process, not being prepared for the resume situation. And so in the back of my mind, I'm like, let me cut this, let me get ahead of this thing. They can do the work, they can do the job, they can make a lot of money. Let me just go and try to, talk to whoever's sending them here so we can go ahead and get classes together, so that they can get hired for the job. So I would go first. We did the welfare to work reform, where I would go talk to teenage moms who were eventually going to get off of welfare but come into work, and I talked to them about etiquette, talked to them about dressing for the interview, talking about building their resume. That was the initial phase, right? So then I got a call to go to Eastside High School, because there were students who were deemed special ed, and they wanted me to go in and talk to them. And so at first it was almost like kind of like a good luck type thing. But when I went in, I was like, yo, this is my school, these are my people, this is my block, this is my HUD, I'm going hard. And then they went like, when is that lady coming back to talk to us again? So almost 29 years ago.
Wow.
And almost 3 decades. And that turned into having a career in corporate, to 9/11 happening, and then me becoming a full-time speaker. But then to go back just a little bit, growing up in the city of Paterson, New Jersey, a lot of people know me. They knew me by either Evie or Red, or, they knew me because I was that little girl that was for real off the porch at like 10, 11, drinking, smoking. But the backstory to that was what a lot of people didn't know until I started telling my story. Was I was born to a mom. She was in 7th grade when she had me, 8th grade when she had my brother. By the time she was 18, she had 3 babies, 3 different fathers. None of us knew them. None of us knew their names. So we struggled. She had a drug-addicted boyfriend who was addicted to heroin and crack cocaine. And we lived through abuse beyond the imagination, when I say it for real. So I was an angry teenager, going through having to move all the time, no food, lights getting turned off 15th of the month, being with my grandparents. They were also poor, from picking food out the trash, trying to figure out what's good and what's not good, to just becoming an angry, bitter teenager, because I felt like the first person in my life, the first 2 people in my life messed up because they didn't protect me. And then because of that, I became an independent adult. And then that turned into just abusive relationship after abusive relationship, then self-harm, becoming an alcoholic, smoking just on a block, on a lot of blocks, you know, going from wherever I could go, sleeping wherever I could sleep, living wherever I could live, to eventually becoming an adult and saying, yo, if I could stop any of these babies from ever going through whatever it was that I had to go through growing up, I'm going to do that. And I'm starting at home first. And then from there, it just, I mean, God just opened up crazy. When I see crazy doors, that's the long short of it.
How many doors you believe you walked through?
Man, listen, too many. I think at one point
more than enough to just say, just thank you, God, for the blessings, for all these blessings.
Come on. You know what's so crazy? Last night I was the keynote speaker at CAPS, their graduation, and I told the story about Randall Lassiter, Pastor Lassiter, and at the time he knew me like when I was Red. He knew me when I was like little Evie, because I was always smart in school. I was a straight A student in school, you know, but no one pushed education at my home. You know, it was just like my mom is basically barely reading, barely writing, you know, so college, what is that? You know, but I love school. I really love school. I dropped out of high school so many times. You know, I went from Rosa Parks Performing Arts School. That's how I got to Eastside, because I just never went back to school after a while. And then I got to Eastside, left there, never went back. But the irony is I ended up one day just saying, yo, if I'm going to make out of this, I got to go back to school. Like, this is crazy. You know, this is crazy time. Ended up going to a EOF program in the summer, meeting Reverend Lassiter at this event where I was taking my high school diploma to you know, quickly, like within like 2 months, to hurry up and get it so I can try to get to college. Went to Passaic County Community College, and I remember showing up hungover just about every day. And the one day that I was going to quit, because I talked myself out of being there so many times, but the one day like I was really, really, really about to quit, he called me in his office, and he had the whinings on, like gospel, and I wasn't saved. I didn't know what Jesus, who, what are you talking about? I'm in there like, yeah, what up? Let me talk to you, you know. And he shut the door. Oh yeah, you know how he is. Come in, have a seat. Just all jovial and happy and kind, you know. And he's playing the whinings tomorrow. So as it's playing in the background, it's like messing with me, you know. And I'm thinking like, what is that? What is he playing? And I'm saying to him, listen, I'm not gonna be able to do this anymore. He's like, well, what are you talking about? I'm like, do this, like this, school. And he's like, you're such a leader. I'm like, nah, you don't know me. You don't know what I'm about to do. You don't know where I'm from. You don't know what you don't even know like what I did before I got here. Like, you have no clue. And he's like, no, everybody respects you. I see how they look at you. You know, you're just such a leader. And he was just going into the spiel. And I'm sitting there looking at him like, bruh, you have no idea who you're talking to right now. And he's like, I'm not talking to the caterpillar. I'm talking to the butterfly. And that was my first encounter with someone, me hearing the word greatness, but me hearing a man say to me, period, I'm proud of you. And he said that, and I bawled, I cried like a baby, and I said, and you better not tell anybody I'm crying, because if you do, I'm going to beat you up. He always said, you remember you threatened me, right? You remember you told me. Nah, but I love that man. So he was a pivotal part of my journey, becoming the person that you see sitting before you. Like, God had his hand on me in that office that day. Was no mistake, no accident. And then from there, just in little pockets of my life and, you know, of moving forward, he would just always have a word for me. You know, I was never a member of his church, but just we had that mutual respect. He was like a dad figure to me, really, you know. And he would say stuff to me sometimes, and I'd be like, oh, you know, like, ah. But it was just a gentle, kind nudging, like nothing I ever felt before. But the whole greatness thing, yeah, he was speaking that. He was speaking that over me. Over what, I'll be 52 in August. He was speaking that over me for over good 30 plus years now.
It's crazy. I wouldn't even know you today without him, because Pastor's the one that told Lieutenant Sharon that he's like, you got to use him. Mm-hmm. You got to use him. He's the truth. He's really talented. You got to use him for your events. Mm-hmm. And without that connection, I wouldn't even have met you.
Yeah.
So it's crazy how, like, again, Pastor Lassiter is always doing something to connect the dots.
That's the goal. Like, what are we doing a documentary? Like, we need to do a secret documentary, and so everybody comes together. Like, what did he say to you?
Yeah, no, he's definitely been a true blessing, you know, to my life. So, so why the youth, and what does the youth mean to you?
Man, you know, first of all, they're the most misunderstood generation in the world. Young people are very, very, very misunderstood. Sometimes I sit back and I just watch how adults handle teenagers and young adults, period. And to me, I think what blows my mind is the fact that they forget that they were actually young at one time too, and did a whole lot of stuff too. And that grace that they probably wanted back then too, you know, they rarely do I ever see them extended to them. And you can't, man, young people can see fluff a mile away. They see fake a mile away. You can't fake being a good speaker in front of a group of teenagers. Adults
have
know.
a good heart.
Right. Adults know how to clap. They know when to say amen. You know, they know when to stand up and to sit down. Young people are like, first 30 seconds, they know if you're real or if you're fake, right? My heart for them really is just that. I want them to know I've been where either you're trying to go, I've been where you were, I've been where you are. What is that you say, baby? I'm in your future looking at your past. I'm standing in your past looking at your future. You know, so for me, I think the pull was really because I see a lot of grown-ups give up on them. Or either they prematurely label them. That one's gonna make it. That person isn't. That, oh yeah, that one right there. Oh, watch that one right there. And I'm thinking to myself, what if God said that about you? I don't give up. If God saved me, he could save anybody. You know what I mean?
I'm a pure example of that myself.
Okay, if he could redeem us, if he could save us, if he could fix us up, and he could, the real evangelical work, the real work of Christ is not in the four walls. The real work is in the trenches. It's the foot soldiers. It's the individuals that's going out touching the generations that's going to come after us. That's going to be able to say, what are we really saying when we tell a young person, oh, you'll never make it with that attitude? Well, did you not have an attitude when you were 13 and 14? Do you feel like you made it? You know? So my heart goes out, and then I just see a lot, and I've seen a lot. I've been through a lot. I can see hurt. I can sense things. I can discern things. People will walk past a young person. They'll reach over. And here's the other thing. Kids can't vote. So they're always forgotten. You know, it's the unspoken, for real, it's the unspoken thing. Like, you want to get to people with power all the time. Most people do anyway. You want to get people who have the ability to vote, who have money, who have the ability to support you. But most of the time, youth are overlooked because they don't have voting power. So basically, they're depending on someone who is in a position to put them and help them and whatever. God told me, I just need you to tap into that sleep. I want you to tap into that greatness. I want you to tap into that. I want you to awaken that sleeping giant. I want you to let them see who they really, tell them who they are. Shake that off of them. When you see that spirit of suicide, wrestler, you know what that looks like. You know what that spirit of suicide looks like. You know what that spirit of depression looks like. You know what that spirit of addiction looks like. You know what that spirit of abuse looks like. You know what that spirit of violation looks like. Don't move so fast through life that you're trying to get somewhere that you don't stop and acknowledge what you see and what's on somebody and be able to tap into it. And it's just so happened that that's how the doors open. You know, that's how the kids could want me to come back.
Exactly.
The kids are like, when that lady coming back?
Yeah, they have the power. Yeah.
Right.
It's
now,
like,
on that part.
Exactly. They're like, she inspired us. We loved her. You know, she resonated with us. Mm-hmm. I felt like she knew who I was. She cared about me, you know, so.
Seen.
Quick question. The mic ain't too far?
Well, yeah, can we move that?
Just to be safe.
Yeah.
Just bring it a little bit closer.
Yeah.
Right there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to make sure. I just want to make sure you're perfect. That's all. Because you say you dropping jewels. And I'll be mad as fire later. So that's why I'm like, I didn't mean to interrupt you. But I was like,
no worries.
So I just wanted to make sure. So it's no question, the youth or your heart. Do you ever get asked by parents for help with their troubled children?
Yeah, I do. I do. One-on-ones for me are a little difficult because we move so much and we go so much, and of course I have my own kids and I'm married, so I've learned to like just take on as much as I can. Like I try not to burn out. I try not to overdo it. And if God doesn't tell me, then I don't. But I do reach out a lot of times. To be honest with you, Felix, a lot of times when people ask me to help their young adult or young or teenager or child or whatever, really that child, sometimes you could say one thing and change the entire trajectory of that child's life. They don't need anything else. It's like you said, boom, I got it the first time. Heard you loud and clear. Parents think like you have to sit there and you have to tarry with them. No, let's be in this moment. Let's tap that. Let's fix that, and let's move on. And get to this place wherever we need to get. Yes, I've spent a lot of time with a lot of kids, especially before I got married. I did the whole girls coming to my house, sleeping all over my floor, movie night. Going to the park, going to work out. They didn't like that too much. Just hanging out, and all that stuff, and just taking time, mentoring. Believe it or not, some of my mentees now they're married. I've been in it for over 30 years now. But I do, to answer your question, yes, I have.
May I?
Yes.
A point on her reaching out in one-on-ones. This is stuff that she don't tell people. So she literally gives out her phone number to thousands, hundreds of thousands of kids. And there's been so many times where
I've seen that firsthand too.
Cash out kids because they were hungry, they're off at college, they were struggling. Just talk to them, just text them, just that little stuff. Call me anytime. And they're surprised when she answers the phone. They're surprised when she responds. Some people, like literally on some of the texts, they're just openly put out there, could you please call me? And other people saying, she's not gonna call you. And she immediately goes back on there and say, I'll call you in a few minutes. And they're like, what? And there was this one time, and this is frequent. This happens a lot. But this one time we was at a girls' event, and the girl didn't come to the event. The mother came to the event, and she heard her speak. After it was over, she waited in line, crying, and said, listen, I tried my best to get my daughter here. She would not come. I need help, or my daughter is not going to make it. My wife said, let's go where you live at. And we literally went to her house and my wife went in, knocked on her door. I'm standing there like I'm security, like, okay, where are we going right now? Like, okay, so we just going, right? Let's go. So, and she goes in and she talks to this girl. She spent like an hour with her. And all the stuff that the mother didn't even know about, she just poured it all out. Like, I don't know how she immediately created a safe space for this little girl she didn't even know. But she immediately became a safe space. She poured out everything. We were able to communicate that back to the mother like it was a bridge between them because it was a generational gap. There was a breakdown between that communication. And it immediately got repaired. God just sent us in there. And it was like that little girl came out of that room a whole different person.
Amen.
And so when you talk about the one-on-ones, there's a whole lot of one-on-ones.
I've seen it too, like even with the Unity Foundation with Lieutenant Sharon when she came for the group of girls and all of them around her. I saw it, like I said, her giving out the phone number. Them asking her questions. I even saw the one mom asking you questions as well. So that's why I asked. I was like, I know, like you say, you got to pace yourself because you could get burnt out of a woman, but they say when you're doing God's work, he'll give you the energy and the strength.
He does, though, Phyllis, really. And you know what? The kids are not the problem either. Like, my husband will tell you, most of the time, I'm really, like, up when we come home from travel. I could be up for 3 days, but as soon as we get home, my first thing to do is what? Start
cleaning up.
Start cleaning up. It'll be like
because she has this energy, this leftover energy she has to put somewhere.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to like the one-on-ones with the kids, and even and this is what I respect a lot. Like, number one, let me say this: I'm her number one fan. Like, it's just hands down. And no one has heard her speak as much as me. And for me to hear her speak over and over again and still be blown away, like, I wish I heard her speak when I was a kid. Like, I've made sure that she's in my hometown. She speaks at the schools. Like, we literally has a rotating schedule where we go speak to the students because I want everybody that's where I'm from to hear her speak because I understand the impact. But her ability to go in and speak the one-on-ones, and even, like I said, what I respect the most, even the young men, she'll speak to them, then she'll hand them off to me. And she'll say, okay, I need you to talk to them with this, and let's guide them this way, guide them that way.
But
And
that's my heart, though.
And it's just pure, they're just who she is. So
The young man on my heart is what I'm saying. My husband is like, do you like girls? Do you like, you make the girls feel like bad? Because you keep saying how much you love the young men, how they're a soft spot in your heart. I'm like, they know I love them, but they also know that we neglect the fellas too. They also know that we talk too much. The guys never have a space to really talk. And most of the time, they don't want to share those things. So I'm usually validating what they're saying. So I'm saying it for them, right? And how do I know this? I have a 34-year-old child, a grown man's son, and baby, we've been through the ringer. I'm not a perfect mom. I've had some doozies. I've had to go back and apologize to my kid. I've had to tell him straight up, like, I messed up. I broke you. I broke your spirit. There were times where I said some stuff to you I absolutely had no business saying because I was raising you scared, raising you tough, raising you think because you're a man, I had to talk to you a certain type of way, and I watched how I would break him down and not really being able to discern his gifts, not really discerning the fact that he has a good heart. It didn't take all of that. It didn't take the yelling. It didn't take the threats. It didn't take the threat, and I'm going to do this to just taking stuff away from him. Sometimes it was just a conversation, and looking back, even when he would deal, like, not to tell, his story is his story, but he would deal with like a lot of anxiety. And I really never knew what that felt like because I'm thinking, you're a man, like, deal with it. You don't come here anxiety, and I would literally dismiss it most of the time because I'm thinking, we pay all the bills, we take care of you, have no worries, you have your own bedroom, you have food, you're protected. You don't, what do you need? You don't need anything. We give you everything. So what problems do you really have? And I would dismiss the stuff he was going through because looking through my lens, I'm thinking, yo, I was abused. I was literally tortured. Like I was homeless. I was sleeping in hallways. I was sleeping outside. I was standing on the block for 3 days in a row. Like your bio was black in my eyes, like just going back and forth. I'm like, how do you have problems? You don't even know what problems are. And in my foolish thinking, I dismissed a lot of the internal struggles that he was having because sometimes what happens with young men specifically, and I think this is why my heart, because I'm redeeming, I feel like I'm always trying to redeem myself, that part of myself, right? So when I see young men, I'm a little different than now because I'm a little bit more understanding, and I see how God made y'all, right? And he's so powerful in the way he made you. At such a young age, you feel like a man. But as mothers, we talk to you like little boys. God created y'all in a sense of you enter into a space of manhood. There's no rites of passage. We don't have things where we walk you in and we say, you're a man now, and we celebrate you as a man at 13 and 14. But if we be realistic, and if we really look at when things start happening in your life and certain chemicals start going on in your body and in your brain and the shift and the change of your body, guess what? God created that. He put that on you, right? And as a mother and as a woman, especially as an independent woman, especially as a woman, that was at one point a single mom and doing everything, I couldn't understand why my kid was, what are you doing? Like, why are you everything? You complain about everything. You never say thank you. In my mind, I'm thinking all these things. And I didn't realize, like, he's being suffocated. He's being suffocated in a space where he can't be what he feels. He can't be a young man. He doesn't know how to maneuver in that space. And it's just me. I don't have a man. I don't have somebody his dad's not doing it. This is before I met my husband. But even with my husband, a man has this desire to want to have his father, his biological father. So I was squeezing and choking things out of him that I needed more understanding of. So it was a trial by error type thing. But I say all that to say he was going through some serious anxiety. And the reason why is because he probably felt like the world was closing in on him. And the only person in his life that he probably adored, his mother, I didn't know how to handle that. I didn't know what to do with any of that, right? And it broke him. And I had to go back and make some things okay. I had to go back and apologize to him. I had to go back and apologize to him based on the way I treated him, the way I talked to him, and I'm not always right. Just because I'm your mother doesn't mean I have all the answers and that I'm always right. So I say all that to say, I take to the men a lot, or the young men a lot, because I see a lot of that brokenness, and I see 72% of our communities are being raised by single mothers. Just let that, 70, I said 72, 73%, right? 73% of our families are being raised by single moms, right? So when you put that in perspective and you have a mother who is probably at work being passed over, promotions, being paid less, new people coming in, having to train the new people, and then the new people end up becoming our bosses. And then we're working, but it's not, nothing's moving here. Like, we can't keep up.
And progressing the way you want to.
Right. We're not progressing. And then on top of that, we have this stigma of being a single mom, so it's just so much. And then you add the fact that if we're, Black and brown community, or marginalized community, they don't take us seriously. We're the most unprotected people on the planet. So what do? We bring that frustration home. We bring it home to our children. We take it out on our kids. People don't want to admit that, but we do, and for years, I did it, and I didn't mean to do it. I didn't want to do it. So now what I try to do, that's my space of helping moms now. We got to stop talking to these young men like boys. We gotta stop demoralizing them. We gotta stop demeaning them. We let eye contact. Let's look at them, hug them. It's okay to say, hey, baby. It's okay to love on them. It's okay to be a safe space. Let them talk. And if they don't want to talk, find somebody they can talk to. Look, Benji, my son was in everything. He was with Mr. Moody. He was with Benji. He was with the city of Patterson, the host. And then my husband came along. I was like, thank you, Lord. Thank you.
But like what you said earlier, too, boys, suppress themselves, where girls sometimes are more outspoken. So that's another reason why I think as well. Mm-hmm. So what are your thoughts on Lieutenant Sharon Easton and the Unity Foundation, and what it does? What does that mean to you?
Man, that's my girl. First of all, that's my sis. That's big sis right there. You know the story, right? You heard the story?
I think I heard you say it.
I'm not going to go into the story, but I'll say this. First and foremost, Sharon.
I remember her talking about, at least there's a video of you like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So I know you guys go a long way back.
Easy, 20, probably now, 25 years? Easy, because we've been together for 24 years, and we've been married for almost 21 years. Well, we've been married, 22 years. 22 years. Oh, Lord, forgive me, Jesus.
Because he just told me, because I'm about to be 22 in September. So he said, oh, you about to catch up with me.
Jet lag. Sorry, my bad. Sorry.
December 17th.
But she's known me, for as long as I've been doing this, right? Crazy thing is, the backstory is this, okay, I was a juvenile delinquent. I had a criminal past as a teenager. I was on probation. But when she met me, I was a little refined, you know what I mean? So I'm like the little refined Yvonne, you know what I mean? So I'm working in corporate. This is when I'm coming back to the community, teaching them how to do resumes and dress for the interview. So I was going to the alternative school. Dr. Zatiti Moody at the time, Mr. Moody was at the alternative schools, and then I was doing some stuff with with Mr. Moody as well. So I would go into the schools, and I'm in there. I'm with my Gucci shoes on, my suits on, and I'm in there, but I'm in there, So she is looking at me when I walk in like, what's she gonna do with her little cute self? She too cute. These girls, they gonna eat her up. And so Mr. Moody would always say, Sharon, you need to come in. You need to listen to her. You need to listen to her. I'm not listening to her. Look what she gonna say, So she tells the story a lot better. I didn't know she was saying all this stuff. I just loved her for the work that she did. I just was like, yeah, because she's tough, but at the same time, she loves so hard, man. Unbelievably hard. Mm-hmm. So that moment sealed our sistership, because the first time she heard me speak, it was like when it was over, she came up to me, she was crying, she was apologizing, hugging, and we were locked in. So we were in the projects, CCP projects, Alabama projects, all over doing these programs, youth programs. What people don't understand, Lieutenant Easton she's been bringing in people to come in to feed and elevate the community, right? But now you have the Unity Foundation and the things that they're doing, which to me, when you really think about it, these babies are entrepreneurs, business owners. She demands a level of excellence from them. She does not play with them, but she acknowledges that it's when she talks about them, she lights up like a baby before Christmas. You know what I mean?
They come on Sunday sometimes at church, and oh my God, you see her running up there, hugging on them and loving on them, and just glad to see them.
Yep, loving on them. And the funniest part of the world is like to see the dynamic between us. You know what I mean? 'Cause never in a million years would she and I. We're supposed to like be sisters. Like, come on, I'm over here in my life doing. God knows she knows what I was doing over here.